Hey everyone, Izzy from Valuart here. Welcome to another episode of the Valuart podcast. Today, we're absolutely thrilled to have an exclusive interview with visionary Tim Smith, also known as Bitvargen, as we delve into his inspiring, immersive, in real life exhibition that will transport us into the future from April 28th to 30th here at the Valuart Gallery in Lugano-Paradiso. So sit back and join us on this journey. So I'd love to kick off this interview by asking you what sparked your interest to start exploring the world of crypto art, and what is the story behind the name Bitvargen?
I've been friends with both Ruben Fro and Beeple for a while now. Both of them educated me a bit on the landscape initially at the top of 21. Ruben actually sent me my first tez and encouraged me to mint something. I thought that was interesting. He encouraged me first to mint something instead of collecting something. I did so and fell back in love with creating, collecting, and meeting so many cool, talented people. The story behind the name Bitvargen. Many years ago, around 2005 or 6, I was emailing with a friend named Ragnar Grandstrand in Sweden. He replied to me and attached a photo of a dead, bloody wolf on the side of a snowy road. The file name for this image was The Last Bitvargen, or similar. I asked him what Bitvargen meant, and he replied, Bite of the Wolf. I was sold, of course, immediately started using it as my MySpace username, and have used it as my handle for everything else since. It's a dope name on many levels, sounds odd and cool, sounds a bit techy, and the Swedish translation speaks for itself.
And speaking of, your creativity, how would you say that your experience in the music industry influences your artistic approach?
I don't believe that it influences my artistic approach. Other than that, I've always had a deep appreciation for art and artists of all types, and I've been living a life of art and artists for well over 20 years now. It's ingrained in me.
Cool. And since we're getting really, really close to your Valuart Solos exhibition, which is just 3 days away, I'd love to ask you what is the central theme of your Valuart Solos exhibition will be.
Playful, cult, dark, emo, transmission, satellite, future, blood, type, blah.
Well, we're absolutely stoked to explore this creative edge of yours. And speaking of which, how do you stay ahead of trends and maintain this creative edge in an ever rapid evolving world of music and art? And also keeping up with social media presence, because you're always so present.
I follow what and whom interests me, primarily on Twitter. There's a lot of great info flow there. My social media presence is always a bit minimal and unique. Much of what I'm tweeting is stuff that makes sense to me and perhaps a handful of others, including friends and family, in an inside joke sort of fashion that I love to speculate on how my followers interpret it. I also love A&Ring sound bites from friends, basically sampling select words from their dialogue and posting that bite alone without context. I don't feel a pressure to perform or maintain a presence. I don't worry about metrics. I solely post when inspired to do so.
And what is the long-term vision for Bitvargen?
Long-term vision for Bitvargen is to continue to be me and to continue to have fun. There's subtle narrative and worlds in the art that I create, and I plan on continuing to develop that, as well as continuing to develop my technical skills. But hopefully not too much. I never want to lose the raw soul of what I create.
I absolutely love that element of authenticity that you have in your works. And since this is a very hot topic nowadays, in what ways do you think that the advent of artificial intelligence and machine learning will impact the worlds of music, art, and entertainment? On a side note, I also recently saw that you recommended a book called Precipice by Toby Ord. And I just want to let you know I'm absolutely looking forward to also reading that recommendation of yours.
In the shorter term, AI will continue to be a tool for artists and others that choose to utilize it. Its capabilities are growing quickly and will continue to grow, allowing some artists to use it to help execute their vision and to also possibly consult with on strategy and more. In the longer term, it's difficult to accurately predict what may or may not happen. There are potential, very real moments on the horizon that include artificial general intelligence, AGI, superintelligence, and ultimately perhaps the singularity. Essentially the convergence of people and computers, the point where they become indistinguishable and beyond our current comprehension. This can mean mind-blowingly amazing or catastrophic things for humanity, depending on how we handle everything. In my opinion, humanity is smart enough to create this tech and is proving so, but I don't believe we're wise and mature enough to be able to properly manage it, nor other things quite yet. We need to make sure that we have plans and are prepared for every possible scenario. Some of the brightest thinkers are now actively working towards solutions and talking about it, so there's hope, but still so much to be done. Throughout history, we've had the luxury of learning on the fly and correcting mistakes, albeit many extremely costly ones. We face many existential risks, technical, anthropogenic, and natural. If we're not careful, we may find ourselves unable to correct future mistakes that could be devastating to either our generations or generations to come, either of which should be completely unacceptable.
Thanks, Tim. I absolutely love this perspective of yours. And, I also hope that humanity will make the right choices. And I really, also that element of hope that you mentioned, I try to keep that in mind when I envision the future with AI, hoping that we'll make the best choices. Before we do close this podcast, I want to ask, if there's any other exciting projects coming up that we should keep an eye out for.
I do have some things brewing, but nothing ready to unveil quite yet.
Well, in the meantime, we're absolutely looking forward to enjoying your Valuart Solos this weekend. And thank you so much, Tim, for taking part in this interview. We're looking forward to having you in the future. Also stop by our gallery. And thank you, everyone who tuned in. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to follow us on Twitter at valuart.com.